Hi, I'm James VanOsdol. This is Car Con Carne, presented by Alex Ross Art. For decades, literal decades, I've been a fan, such a fan of Alex Ross, one of the greatest to ever have his work in a comic book or graphic novel. He paints his stuff, and he paints in a photorealistic way, a way that makes it look like these are real people. I mean, they're based on real people. That's the whole idea of photorealism. But he makes characters from Luke Cage through Batman, Wonder Woman through the Huntress look like they exist in real life, IRL to you kids with the rest of us. Alex Ross is on YouTube, obviously, and here's Alex to tell you about his YouTube channel.
Hi, this is Alex Ross. I appreciate you guys supporting our YouTube, and we create new content every week. I hope you will continue to support us, and please subscribe.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James VanOsdol.
I'm so glad you're here. This is the year-end show of Car Con Carne. And I'm recording in early December. It just, timing-wise, it made sense. I realized there's some year left to go, but now's the time to put this stuff together. And as I'm recording this in early December, Car Con Carne was just nominated as Best Music Podcast in Chicago, according to the Chicago Reader, for the Best of 2023 issue. Voting starts on Wednesday, December 13th, so I don't have a link for you now, but I would love your help to secure the win. I put so much work into this. If you watch the show, if you listen to the show, you know that. But the amount of work I put in is irrelevant. What matters is, do you watch it? Do you listen to it? Do you like it? If so, I'd love your support when that link comes available. I think voting is for 4 weeks, starting on the 13th. I don't ask people to go on Apple and rate the show or anything like that. This is really the one big favor I have. Car Con Carne for Best Music Podcast in the Chicago Reader. Thank you for your support. Keep an eye on my socials because I'll for sure have updates and I'll provide the link so it's really easy for you to get to. Thanks for that. So it's the year-end show. And a couple weeks ago, I put out a survey asking you who your favorite guests were over the course of 2023. And I'm going to play back clips from your top 10 guests. And there were close to 100 guests in 2023. And I'm also going to share some extra stuff, too, stuff that you might have missed, stuff worth just hearing or seeing. But before I get to any of that, because I did so many episodes, I hate the idea of excluding people from this conversation, excluding guests, because I've enjoyed everyone I've talked to, every interview I've done. I love doing this. I love learning more about artists, musicians, and sharing that information with you. So before I get to your top 10, before I get to all the extra stuff, I am going to methodically, one by one, thank every guest that's been on Car Con Carne in 2023. Here we go. Ghost Forest, Joe Chura of Go Brewing, Noah from Punk Rock Tacos, Sweetie, David Bonomi of Peanut Park Trattoria, great food, oh my God, the very funny Mike Stricker, the Brokedowns, at last the Brokedowns were on this show, Bartoli's Pizza, delicious, Low Tech at Pink Shrimp and Oysters. I don't think the restaurant survived. The interview did, and it's awesome. Let's see. The guys behind the Vinyl Nation documentary. The people behind the Feed the Beasts benefit. We did that one at Sound Growler in Tinley Park. Ivan Julian of Richard Hell and the Voidoids. Talked to him outside Rattleback. Awful at Tony D's. Frank Orrell of Poi Dog Pondering. What a gentleman he is. Poi Dog at Few Distillery. Moon did that one virtually. Now, here's the thing. I think I'm done with virtual interviews. We're in 2023, heading to 2024. I prefer to do things in person unless someone from out of town makes themselves available who I otherwise couldn't sit next to in the car. The Nets performed outside Percolator. Juna outside Enjoy. Fax. Patrick Brower of Challengers Comics and Conversation. We did that one at Club Lago. The Academy is at Jungbu. Casey Gulbro at Foxfire in St. Charles. They just won a couple of awards, deservedly so. The very funny Dwayne Kennedy. White Rabbit Object. Triple Fast Action. Talked to Brian of Triple Fast, did that one virtual. The people behind the Galloping Ghost documentary, Ghost Lord and the Quest for Dark Presence, recorded that in Motion Sound Studio. John Carruthers of Crust Fund Pizza talked to Sweet Cobra at Big Kids in Logan Square. Did a combo episode, Lucky Boys Confusion with the dog and everything. Third Coast Percussion, Take the Reins, recorded at their practice space. They performed there. They made food in a crock pot for me. It was Crock-Pot Con Carne. The Boll Weevils, Dr. Daryl Wilson of the Boll Weevils. Gary Newman, kind of a bucket list one, did that one in Milwaukee at the rave. Stuart Copeland, the Grammy Award-winning legendary drummer of the Police. Ugly Kid Joe, recorded that outside their hotel in St. Charles. The Fluorescents, Graham Bonnet of Rainbow fame, more than anything, really. Fan Expo Chicago, Bellhead at Herm's Palace. Josh Caterer, the person behind the theme song, Josh Caterer of Smoking Popes, making his first appearance this year at Chicago Culinary Kitchen. Avantist, Glory Days at Central Cafe. Bullet to the Heart at Flipside Brewing. Colleen Wild at Sovereign. The combination of Lloyd Bean, that was a virtual one. The people behind the Naked Raygun tribute album Godspeed did that at Rogue's Corner. We talked to Scott Miller, old work friend, about his dear friend Dick Biondi, radio legend who passed shortly before then. Guardrail at La Principal in Evanston. Louise Post of Veruca Salt, that was virtual. At a Punk Rock Tacos event, I talked to Show Off, Conciencia Total, and Callidius Time Bomb. Aaron Williams making a return appearance for Homegrown, recorded at Base Camp in Lisle, naturally. Went to Delmark and recorded with Julia A. Miller there. For a separate episode, I recorded people talking about why Naked Raygun. So we heard from members of the Boll Weevils, the Methadones, and Death in Memphis. Blue Meanies had a comeback this year, well, one show. Talked to Billy Spunk at Byron's. The Evictions at Wolfie's. Mirrors at Gene and Jude's. Achings, virtual. Too Much Joy, virtual. Dan Doherty at DJ Corchin at Red Hot Ranch. Nathan Graham performing live outside 6978. Ovif Au at El Original Chavez Tacos. Louis Mendocino of Cobra Lounge. He was talking about the Cultivate Festival having its first year this year. We did that outside Cigars and Stripes. I'm still talking about that hot sauce and those wings. J.C. Brooks at Gigio's in Uptown. Kyle Kinane did that one in a parking lot. Black Dog Vinyl Cafe, talked to them, and Jason Benefield, who performed live in the car for that one. Sincere Engineer did that one at a corn dog place, Obvi. Madam Reaper and the Gentleman's Club. Filter, talked to Filter before they opened up for Ministry, Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie. Liv Warfield, Brian Moore, Spitalfield in front of a live audience at Beard and Belly. Then there was Riot Fest. At that event, I talked to Aquadolls, Hotline TNT, Sledgeworth, Screaming Females, Bowling for Soup, Cure Violence Global, Snapcase, Smoking Popes. Oh, that was it, Smoking Popes. Talked to Matt of Young Man in a Hurry. Then I went to Blue Island Beer Company and talked to the combo of Sweetie, Shannon Candy, and Sleeping Villains. Then came October, Candy Corn Carne, nothing but Halloween-adjacent episodes. The Oohs and Ahs, Horror House. Went to Hell's Gate. I love Hell's Gate. Went there with my old friend Tim Burgeon. Zagoni Studios. Stephanie Sack. Cinephile Stephanie Sack. Fat Kiss at Cobra Lounge. Sideshow Villains outside Bohemian Cemetery. The return of Patrick Brower from Challengers Comics at 13th Floor Haunted House. I went up to DeKalb. Is it up? Yeah, it's up. To talk to the Rocky Horror Picture Show Shadowcast there. Chicken Happen. Then came episode 900. Sincere Engineer, Smoking Popes, Boll Weevils, Plain White Tees. I met up with Robert Fleischman at Bistro Monadnock. Blind Adam in the Federal League at Dante's. Old friend Ike Riley at his home studio. Capital Soiree. Very recently it was Woolworthy. Most recently, the Claudettes. That brings us current. Car Con Carne, thank you to one and all. Like I said, I enjoyed talking to everyone this year. So it is a retrospective episode. It is highlights. I hate calling it best of. It's a highlights. It's a year in review of 2023. I want to begin with this bonus clip. It's Nathan Graham. I mentioned him. He performed in the car. I've been a follower and fan of his for years now, and I feel like he's been on the cusp for a while, and I feel like it's finally happening for him, deservedly so. He was on episode 867 in August, and he performed this song. It's Pride, Nathan Graham on Car Con Carne.
Lost my mind, searching for what I can't find, so far away from my home. I lost myself in this world, in this place, and I never felt so alone. I won't last another night on my own. I'm stealing time, telling lies, promise you I'm fine. Don't you worry over me. Say one more night, one more year, one more mile, until I can find my way, till I'm free. I will always let my pride get the best of me. I lost my mind, searching for what I can't find, so far away from my own. My pride gets the best of me when I'm alone. My pride gets the best of me when I'm alone.
So let's get into your top 10. Again, I put a survey out there. I wasn't sure what I would get back. I got a ton of responses for favorite guests and moments of this past year. And let's start with number 10. It is the Evictions. Talked to them in July of this year. Talked to Johnny and Chris of the Evictions. And in this clip, we talked about the dangers and high cost of being a very physical live band.
I won't name the venue. We played at a fairly well-known venue recently, and afterwards the bar manager came up and said, you're really not allowed to be jumping on the tables. And I said, well, one, you're lucky I didn't bring my flamethrower base, which that's fair. But then second, I was like, well, it looked like everyone was having a good time, and the bar manager was like, smiled and said, yeah, well, actually they did look like they're having a good time. I guess it's all right.
I would love to see your bookkeeping at the end of a gig. It's like, wait, I thought we packed the house. How did we lose $200?
You broke a $3,000 bar. Yeah, the apology tour. No, he jumped off the bar one show while playing, and he kind of jumped off but landed on a table and slammed into a couple of girls and knocked over all their drinks on the table. And
now they're married. Which is
I'm
great.
sorry. I'll come back and give you some drinks. I'm sorry. As he's bass soloing, running back up to the bar.
You got to make sure people are paying attention.
So in my Spotify Unwrapped, which everyone shared theirs, I didn't share mine, but I thought it was interesting. My most listened to episode on Spotify this year was also the number 9 voted favorite episode of the year. Ugly Kid Joe. Talked to them in May. Talked to Klaus and Dave. Ugly Kid Joe during their first U.S. tour in close to 20 years. And one of the things we talked about, we talked for a while, one of the things we talked about was how quickly everything came together for them in the early 90s.
The first tour we get at Winnebago, it shows up. Label's giving us some money to do a tour. Excuse me. The first show, I think, was in Portland, Oregon, I think. And like 8 people showed up. maybe. And then, maybe a few more in Seattle. And by the time we hit, I think the Midwest actually is when Everything About You started getting played. And it was just weird. Like, all of a sudden, they're packed out. Like, almost, like, kind of overnight. I mean, I would say that.
It was 0 to 60.
Yeah, it was a trip. And but we were still, in Winnebago. We didn't have any money. We were just young. Luckily we were very young at the time, 23 to 25, I think. And so we were, sleeping like in Willy Wonka, where the grandparents sleep with, head to feet, to head to feet in this Winnebago. And everything was just exciting and fun. Omaha, Nebraska was exciting because we're like, oh, Mutual of Omaha, and everything we've always heard about.
Yeah.
These cities you've always heard about a million times, TV shows or whatever. There you are, and you're playing, and it's weird, playing in your band, and it's doing what you did always in the clubs or at the frat parties or the beach parties and whatever we did, houses at the beach and stuff. Back in California, it was the same thing, but in somewhere else, in some snow outside. But so and then you start getting people asking for autographs and all this stuff, and it did happen really fast. And I think we did kind of lose it a little bit. We probably...
How could you not? I mean,
Yeah.
really, objectively, I don't know how you can have all that happen at that age, at 23, 24 years
Yeah.
old, and maintain it much perspective at all.
I mean, and plus you've got this. It's insane high, and especially when you start playing completely sold out venues, and the crowd is literally yelling the songs back to you. Going from just playing, like I said, a backyard party where people are just partying and you're the band, the entertainment, to they're actually here. This is the show, and it's you, and you get really a lot of adrenaline, obviously, and of course we had cases of beer on the rider at the time, so
Yes.
probably that's one of, I mean, luckily we're young, and you kind of going to come down from that, so you start drinking a little more than you should. The next thing you know, it's a whirlwind. It became like this 2-year tornado, hurricane.
We took off. It's the mayhem of. I got in the band. Then the first show I ever played was it was on MTV's
Yeah.
first movie awards. It
Yeah.
was my first performance with the band. Then that started.
You jumped on a speeding train.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then in the first tour we did, I mean, we went right into an arena in Portland with Ozzy Osbourne, and we did that tour. Then it went literally for 2 years, all over the place, all over the world. And then me and Klaus had some normalcy by coming back to Santa Barbara. Both got each of us got a house, and then put a little studio in there. We started writing for Menace. So that was sort of the break where we were
Finally,
able to chill
like,
for a second
chill.
back in Santa Barbara and be like, all right.
But yeah, it was a
But
solid
man,
2
you talk
years.
about 2 years
Yeah.
of absolute radness, is what I'll call it.
Yeah,
It was
around the world,
amazing, man.
we
I
went
mean, there's so many.
everywhere.
I mean, everywhere. We played the Australian Music Awards with Bon Jovi and all kinds, just badass things that were just monumental in our lives, man. And those 2 years were probably and that's we were in a tornado of being young, and we were nuts, man. We're like 24, and I think I turned 25 maybe on that year. I forget how old I was.
Yeah.
But,
When I
man.
turned 25, I went out for a nice dinner with my parents.
Yeah, sounds wild, bro. Fuck yeah.
And then there was this one, Josh Caterer at Riot Fest. Smoking Popes were supposed to play day 3 at Riot Fest, but it rained, and it rained hard all morning, and I was with Josh right when he got a text saying, you guys aren't playing. They got bumped because they had to push everything back at Riot Fest. So before the Smoking Popes packed it up, I talked to Josh, we sat down, and he talked about the set that would have been at Riot Fest.
We love you all.
Is that how you would have ended?
That's how Ozzy would have ended it.
How would you have ended? Would you have closed with I Know You Love Me or Need You Around?
Do you want to know what the set was going to be?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a Car Con Carne exclusive. Simmer Down. Let's Hear It for Love. No More Smiles. Oh. Then
I feel like that's the
Gotta
time.
Know Right Now.
There you go. Going old school.
Then we were going to do the new song, Madison. Then we were going to do like a 3-song rock block to finish it up, which was going to be,
A rock block.
boom, boom, boom. Megan, Need You Around, I Know You Love Me. Hoping for some extended ending, crowd sing-along, I Know You Love Me. If things were going really well, I would have taken the guitar off and stage dive, crowd surfing.
What could have
Can
been?
you do that at 1 p.m.? I
Sure
don't
you
know.
can. Absolutely. Not only can you, you should.
I would have.
Back to your votes for favorite guests of this past year. It was January when I went to Punk Rock Tacos in Villa Park and sat down. It was my first ever meeting with the band Sweetie.
Our original drummer, Joe, who's no longer with us, he's still alive.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah, he's going back to college, so he'll be running sound for us someday, I think, hopefully. So he came up to me at a party at a DIY space in Union, Illinois, which is the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he walked up and he goes, "You want to start a 2-piece band?" And I went, "Yep." And he said, "You play through 2 amps and I'll play drums?" And I said, "Yep." And it just happened. And the name just sort of came to me maybe a month later, like literally out of nowhere. And I just I texted him. I'm like, "How about the name Sweetie?" And he goes, "Perfect."
Another one of your picks, number 7, Dr. Daryl Wilson, a returning favorite, really just a favorite human being of mine in general. Daryl Wilson of the Boll Weevils. We talked about what was then the brand new release, Essential, new Boll Weevils album, many years in the making, long overdue. And I mentioned the fact that one of their catchiest songs ever, Liniment and Tonic, is buried on the new album. All right, so Liniment and Tonic, I talked about album sequencing. What is this song doing at the end of the album? This is such an obvious hit song, smash Boll Weevil song. What's this doing at track number 15 or whatever it is?
Toby sequenced the record. No, actually, it was part. No, that's a cop out. We thought about that too, and the record sequencing is about really much the same. I mean, there were a couple songs that moved some positions, but most of them stayed in the same position. And you're right. I mean, it is what it is, James. So what does it make you not like the record?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. It's just
I'm ostentatious.
It's a non-traditional move to put.
I keep using
to put one of your
insane.
put one of your strongest ear candy songs at the end of the album.
Well, you got to go through the whole meal to get to the dessert.
That's it. It's like key lime pie.
It is like key lime pie or sweet potato pie or whatever pie you want. It's pie at the end.
This is no exaggeration. I'm not saying this as a Boll Weevils fan. I'm not saying this as a friend of Daryl Wilson. That song has never left my head.
It is the most earworm of earworms. It is like that thing they put into whose ear in Star Trek did they put that thing? The content.
Was it Chekhov?
Chekhov's ear, right? It's a Chekhov worm.
Here's another one I wanted to throw into the year-end episode. The Galloping Ghost documentary is in progress. I'm hoping we get to see it in 2024. And in April of this past year, I sat down with the producers, the makers of this documentary, and the person the documentary is about, Doc Mack of Galloping Ghost, the fantastic arcade/empire in Brookfield. His story is being captured by the documentarian Craig Bass. Lydia Coranda, who's one of the producers, was also in the car for that. And I talked to Doc about all of the nerdy things, arcade games, Godzilla, and specifically the vibe, the special feeling you get when you walk into an arcade, specifically Galloping Ghost.
We've always been open every single day, every holiday. And when we initially started doing it, people were like, well, how can you make people work on holidays and stuff? And it's like because of what I went through on my childhood of how amazing arcades were and how it brought families together. And that's the stuff that's so memorable. And that's really what perpetuates arcades moving forward. And so that was always a definite thing. We were going to be open every holiday.
Now, here's the thing, though. Galloping Ghost is kind of like going into a casino. When you go into a casino in Vegas, there are no windows, there are no clocks. Next thing you know, you walk in at 10 a.m., it's 10 o'clock at night. What have I done? Where am I? Back to your votes. One of your favorite guests of the year, number 6, Louise Post of Veruca Salt. Talked to her right around the 4th of July, right before she was supposed to play Chicago, but illness derailed that. I'm hoping we get to see her in the coming year. I couldn't resist. I had to talk about Chicago and her memories of living here.
Well, I lived in Andersonville for years on Winona Street. And later for the last couple of years, I lived in Wicker Park. Prior to that, I lived in Lakeview. I lived on Warner and then on Bittersweet. And so Lakeshore Drive is it's sacred to me, as I think it is to all Chicagoans. I call it the friendly highway.
For sure.
But running, I used to go running, and that's where I would just that was meditation for me. So Lakeshore Drive, I think of lovingly, and I think of like my favorite restaurants in Andersonville. There's this little Swedish restaurant that I used to get lingonberry pancakes, and the Busy Bee that's no longer there in Wicker Park. And I think of bowling at the Rock and Bowl with my friends, like all the bands that we hung out with, like from Triple Fest, Local H, Loud Lucy, Fig Dish, and us. We'd all go bowling, and it was Tuesday bowling, and it was so fun. And I loved when we were first writing, Nina would come up to that apartment of mine in Andersonville, and I would go to hers, and those early times were really they're very sweet, and we never thought anyone would ever hear us. And I asked a boyfriend of a friend who lived in Hyde Park, if he would record a demo for us, and that's the cassette that we did, that I brought to every small venue and met with the booking agent and followed up after, and asked if oh my God, back to like trying to find a rhythm section. I mean, it was just a sweet time, and we were so passionate. And I was working as a waitress at Andy's Jazz Club at State and Hubbard. Mm-hmm. And between tables, I would go and get my notebook out, and I would log everything that Nina and I were doing, like every song that we were working on, and we were recording stuff on 4-track. I made her do it. I was always in Veruca Salt, and I suppose maybe I wearied of it after Ghost Notes, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I've always been the quarterback, like throwing the ball down the field and getting us past the first down and getting the second down and third down. And because I've just always driven it.
One of my personal favorites of the past year, one of your favorites, number 5, Kyle Kinane, comedian Kyle Kinane, the very funny Kyle Kinane. We recorded this in a parking lot in Addison. This is a point of embarrassment for me this past year. Completely forgot to hit record or maybe I turned off the camera. The point is, I didn't record video on this. And of course, Kyle is so photogenic. Total missed opportunity. I felt like an absolute amateur, but the audio, I mean, it's a podcast after all, so you can still listen to it. And here's a clip. Bottom line, when it comes to me and Kyle, everything comes back to Batman. Addison's kind of hopping. The movie theater is packed. The Mexican restaurant in this little parking lot.
La Hacienda. La Hacienda is a great spot. Yeah,
which is Spanish for the hacienda.
Yeah. We have a hacienda. I think Dave Fernandez. So
back when I read Batman comic books as a kid, the Joker had a secret hideout, kind of like Batman had the Batcave. Yeah. But the Joker's was the hacienda. I didn't realize how corny it was when I was.
No, that's like right up my alley. Yeah. For like jokes, I'm like, you son of a.
The hacienda. Again,
there's not for all the dumb comedy club names I've encountered, there is not a comedy club called that, and I can't believe that right now. There's comedy clubs called Jokers with a Z, but not Hacienda.
So I talked about that Chicago comedy documentary a couple months ago, which you're well aware of. It was interesting to me learning about how papering the rooms kind of brought about the end of a lot of clubs.
I mean, comedy clubs were like, there was a period in time they were pretty notorious for laundering money.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, there's a chain of clubs in the South. I don't know if they still do it. I won't say the name, but I still work for some of them. But like my friends would get stories about, you get paid like, all right, you're gonna make $500 this weekend. Here's a check for $1,000. Cash it next week and mail us back the extra $500. Like they weren't even lying about it. You know, just like if you're cool with that, then here's 7 more clubs that you can work. And by clubs, I mean banquet halls in a Holiday Inn. They would dress up on the weekends if there wasn't a wedding.
One thing I hope to do in this coming year is more in-car performances. They're kind of hard to do. They're kind of hard to book. But man, they're worth it. I love the end result. Here's another performance that happened in the car. It was the Nets recording at Percolator. This happened in March of 2023, episode 822. They performed their song, Another Bet.
place and time where you and me belong. Baby, I've been thinking that it's time I put these words into a song. I'm not one to have my heart away. When I did, well, you just turned the other way. Was our love another bet for you to make, babe? Oh, babe, darling, where'd the time go? Did you run away and end up getting lost? 'Cause these days we're just strangers, moving in a different time in a different space. I'm not one to have my heart away. When I did, well, you just turned the other way. Was our love another bet for you to make, babe? Oh, babe, hand my heart away, hand my heart away, my heart away. I'm not one to have my heart away. When I did, well, you just turned the other way. Was our love another bet for you to make, babe? Oh, babe.
Booking guests for a podcast is hard. It's a lot of work. You send out requests, you get a lot of rejections, you get a lot of non-responses. This was kind of a wish list, I'll never hear back sort of request I put out there, and I got a response right away. Gary Newman, the legendary, influential synth pioneer Gary Newman. He was playing at the Rave in Milwaukee. I made the pitch, and then I drove out to meet Gary Newman and do this interview. This was audio only per management request, and in this interview clip with Gary Newman, we talked about the fact that music is just in his blood.
I think if I could paint, I would probably write less songs, because I would be able to do it that way. I could articulate the visions that I have and the things that I see in a different way. But I can't. I'm a terrible painter, so all I have left is music and words and trying to build atmospheres and moods within it.
Navigating through your career in the present day as a more seasoned career performer, it feels like you are happily in control, as opposed to when things, we're at a breakneck, out of control pace, circa Pleasure Principle.
Yeah. I was. I think when you're new to it, you don't know what your pace is. Everything is. Well, for me, I've never been particularly confident about what I do, either in the studio, musically, or on stage, and until relatively recently. Still not in the studio, actually. I still find that quite challenging. But on stage now, I'm I'm pretty confident now. I really do feel like I know what I'm doing. People can like it or not like it. That doesn't even bother me much anymore. I like what I'm doing. I have a lot of fun doing it. I love my band. We're the best friends. I like the life. I like living on the bus. I like that feeling as you walk out and the crowd moves. That whole sensation. I love everything about it, and I've grown to love it more and more and more. And some of that is because of the confidence that comes from doing it a long time.
Sure.
And all the things that you worried about going wrong have all happened, and they're not as bad as you think they're going to be.
That was your number 4 favoriteest, most favorite guest of 2023, Gary Newman. Here's an interview highlight I just love. I've been such a fan of J.C. Brooks ever since I first heard J.C. Brooks and the Uptown Sound. And things have been quiet from J.C. Brooks for the past several years. And I got him in the car in August, and we talked about his comeback to the live stage in 2023 and what those early days were like for J.C.
We've played a couple of gigs this year, as you mentioned. First at the Midsummer Fest in Andersonville, and then at this NASCAR Chicago street race thing.
Which, kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was the craziest thing was seeing the lineup, like once everything got released, and it's like, arena name, J.C. Brooks. Like, okay, well, thank you. It's always, one of the blessings of this band has been, we've always been mentioned in really excellent company.
For sure.
So I was just like, hey, even if we're the smallest name on that bill, I'm like, look who we're standing with, though. Look at this shit.
Well, I mean,
it's,
New Jersey background aside, you have that classic Midwestern self-deprecation.
Is everyone with low self-esteem from the Midwest, or is everyone from the Midwest have low self-esteem?
You picked it up along the way, but you bring up a good point. I mean, the city loves you, and I think you have carved out a wonderful place for yourself here. Going back to Want More, that seemed like an awfully quick for you.
Whew. It was. It wasn't, to be honest, because we had been, building up to it, we started in 2007, and that came out in 2011, and it was, I don't know, it was cool. It was definitely a lot, especially, our first South by Southwest, when I think we played about, 14 shows in 4 days.
One of the more powerful, if not the most powerful, interview of the past year on Car Con Carne was Juna. Donna Diane of Juna jumped in the car right on the heels of the release of her new album, Femina Fiorenz. Easy for me to say, Femina Fiorenz. And we talked about her deeply personal, kind of uncomfortable subject matter. Objectively, it's hard to listen to some of the stuff. Lyrically, Suicidal on Christmas is really hard to listen to. How does it feel to put a song like that out there?
There's a point in the songwriting process, because I'll fully admit, probably every one of these songs, I spent the early part of working on it, crying the whole time. Even the heavy songs, they're so emotional for me. And even on Ex Voto, that's just part of my songwriting process is crying. But then there's some point in which I get out whatever it is I need to get out in the song, and then it doesn't feel as emotional. Now you guys have to deal with the emotions.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of the lyrics in that song are details are metaphorical or at least vague. But my rubber face could take a punch. Not vague.
No.
Not fake. That's and even title wise, as we're looking at songs like Grooming and Petting and Draw Your Own Conclusion, it just
yes, the ING songs.
Your number 2 most memorable, your number 2 favorite podcast interviewee of the past year is also one of the most recent, Robert Fleischman. Robert Fleischman, who has played with Vinnie Vincent's Invasion. Most famously, Journey. He's the guy who was in Journey before Steve Perry. He was only in there for a handful of months, but while there, he wrote a few of the songs on the Infinity album that became absolute standards, absolute classic rock staples like Wheel in the Sky. So when Robert was in the car, we talked about being in Journey for that moment, how it kind of was like an arranged marriage, and we talked about authoring Wheel in the Sky. So Journey, the arranged marriage.
Yeah.
You hit it off with the guys. You wrote a handful of songs. Let's drop anchor on Wheel in the Sky for a minute. Where did that come from? Can you remember that far back?
Well, it came from Neil was playing acoustic guitar.
Neil Schoen.
And we were, I think we were in Texas. He started playing this acoustic guitar and this whole thing, the music. And so I came up with a melody, and I wrote the lyrics in about 20 minutes. It was really funny.
I feel like all the good music stories are like that. Like the songs weren't labored
right.
over. They weren't labored over. They came to you.
It's like automatic writing.
Yeah.
I've actually I wrote a song, and I just turned on their tape recorder, and I had the acoustic guitar in my hand, and every lyric, everything just came out like boom, like it was a done song. And I talked to people, other musicians about it, and I talked to Tom Petty once about it, and he goes, I've done that like 1 or 2, 3 times, and it happens sometimes. It's like automatic writing. It's just like it's like it comes from outer space, and you just get this flow, and it just happens. And if you're lucky, you turned on the tape recorder to capture it.
In 2023, I talked to a lot of interesting people, a lot of famous people, perhaps none more famous than your number one pick for 2023, Stuart Copeland of The Police. One of the greatest drummers in rock, just one of the coolest dudes, period. I could have talked to him for hours, but as it was, I think I only had like 25 minutes. But in this clip, for your number one pick, we talked about a bunch of Police songs. We're 45 years out from the first album. Let's start there. Song 1, side 1, album 1, Next to You.
Next to You. Cool track. No, I wanted to be next to you. Yeah, we played that. The last song the Police ever played was Next to You. At the end of the fourth encore, at the end of the last show of the 2-year reunion tour. That was our last encore, so presumably that was the last song we ever played. First and last. How about that?
You mentioned Grammys. Let's talk about the Grammy Award-winning Regatta de Blanc.
Let's mention it. That's my favorite Police album, actually, because it was recorded at a time when our mojo was really high, but we hadn't fully ascended the mountain yet. We were still working it. The first album, we played those songs in and out of clubs, pubs, and wherever, and we recorded it in 20 minutes. The second album, we were still on tour. We were breaking America. We were working our way across the ocean of America, playing club after club after city after city. And we didn't have enough material, so we were just making stuff up, improvising, jamming, and so on. Then suddenly, let's record another album, and we didn't have enough songs. And so we just had to kind of create stuff in the studio. Sting would have a snatch of lyric here, and we'd come up with a riff, and it was probably our most collaborative album when we were really feeling it. We were really feeling the buzz of we've got a cool band here. We were very full of ourselves, and that, what you would call mojo. And that puts an X factor on the tracks. The subsequent albums were much more studied, much more, Sting had written all the songs we need. We got there. We've all got songs, but we learned them right there on the spot, recorded them right there on the spot 20 minutes after hearing them for the first time. But Regatta was very spontaneous, shoot from the hip.
All right, one more clip now that we've run through your top 10. I loved doing episode 900 at Epic Deli in early November. It was Tom Higginson of Plain White Tees, Daryl Wilson of the Boll Weevils, Deanna from Sincere Engineer, and Josh Caterer from Smoking Popes. And in this clip from episode 900, we talked about the songwriting process.
Yeah, I always felt like if I didn't remember a song, like if I wrote a song and then went out or something, if I didn't remember it, like when I got home, then it's like it must not have been good enough.
For sure.
See, that's a certain mentality. I always would think, I forgot the song, and it was the best song I'll ever write. I'm doomed.
I've had some of that too.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh my god.
You guys ever like dream a full ass song?
Yes. I have, yeah.
Full
I
song.
did that
and it's
actually
so
the other day,
good.
and I can't remember it.
Yeah, and then sometimes you wake up and you kind of do remember
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are times where
I
you
keep
wake
like
up and
pad
I
by
did
the
that.
bedside. Like I'll put a pad by the bedside for that. Like if I hear the song in my head,
Yeah.
like I'll have to write it down. Like seriously, it's like writing down your dream or whatever
Yeah.
it is. But I haven't done that recently, and I had one that was in my head. I'm like, oh, this sounds so good. I wish. Then I'm like, I can't remember it. I cannot remember it.
There's
It's
also
it's
like that
gone.
like dream reality to real thing. I had that too, but I like can never get it on paper.
Yes,
it's like a full band, like, you know. It's like,
It
it'll
happened to
never
me.
exist.
It happened to me once. And I was really excited, but it turned out to be My Sharona. So I couldn't
Wrote that,
actually
dude? No
do
way.
that. Yeah, I rewrote it from
Amazing.
scratch.
And there you have it, 2023. It's a wrap. A little bit early. 2023 is not officially over, but it's a wrap for this show, this episode. Thank you for watching and listening. Obviously, much more to come. I'm already working on stuff for the end of the year, starting in early 2024, getting some guests lined up, and it keeps going. Two things I'm going to ask of you. Number one, keep an eye out for that Chicago Reader voting link. Car Con Carne up for Best Music Podcast. Love your help with that. Also, between now and the end of the year, I'm also going to put out another survey. This one, just trying to figure out what is the most meaningful approach for you. Some logistic questions about Car Con Carne. How do I make it even better of a listening/viewing experience for you? So that's coming too. That all said, thank you for a fantastic 2023. I consider it an honor to be able to talk to the people I talk to on this podcast, and the fact that you give me your energy, time, viewing, and listening. So thank you very much.